welcome to A1R Psychic Radio, and also you can watch these videos on Moonstruck TV as well, which is wonderful. Now, we're going to have a couple of readers call in, and I'm going to do some readings, which is wonderful. But before we do that, I just thought we'd have a little spiritual talk. So my subject matter for today is that I wanted to talk about, you know how often when we have a reading, we look to sort of, what's happening in our lives and sort of what's happening. But I want to talk about there's more to this than meets the eye. And what I'm trying to say is I believe, in fact, I know that everyone has a spiritual path, and that path is really important to you. And what that means is that before you came to this life, before you came to be with the family and the friends and your set of circumstances, you made a decision about what you needed and what for your own personal growth. And so a lot of the things that are happening to you may be because this is your path. But sometimes we do things that are our own free will, because we do have our free will as well. And what that means is it can sort of end up with us deviating from our path, in which case the path can then sort of shift and change, and we will be on a different path. But whichever way you look at it, there will be we have a path, and so shows like this, I think, are quite important, because yes, we can talk about circumstances in your life and what's sort of happening and where you're going with this, with your path. But we can also, I believe that there is potential for healing to happen, because many people in our world, and this is, I guess, this is just life, isn't it? Where we experience things that, goodness, they can be, sometimes we can have some awful situations happen to us, and other times we can, they can be very happy. But whatever the circumstances and the situations, or particularly the difficult ones, sometimes we need a little bit of healing from that. And I always believe that what's so wonderful about the spirit world and God is that ultimately they will aim to bring healing to us, and that's certainly how I work. That they bring healing through me in order to sort of alleviate some of the tensions of life or some of the difficulties in life. And I think that's quite remarkable that healing can take place. Another thing that the spirit world are very keen to do is, and this can happen in a reading, is that they are looking to perhaps sort of guide you in a direction that they feel is best for your soul. Again, you have free will, but when they are guiding us to in a direction that, say, let's say you came to the earth plane and you really felt that you wanted to be a school teacher, because you wanted to help children in this life, and you got to the point of 18 and you thought, do you know what, I don't want to go to university and get all this debt, and I'm not going to study to be a teacher. I've wanted to do this all my life, but I just don't want to have the debt, or whatever the situation is. And then sort of, so you can see how our free will can sometimes almost like a car crash sort of coming at our life and just changing it in a way that we perhaps don't want or don't need. And And so this is something sort of, really important to consider, our free will. But what I think is so lovely about the spirit world, and God, is that when we do make those decisions to change our minds about things, or go in a different sort of stance, they will find a way to readjust you, and readjust you, maybe on a different path, but maybe, in a way that still benefits your soul, and still helps you. Because ultimately, and this is what I find quite fantastic, is that everyone, has somebody around them, that is a guide. Like, we often talk about guides, and I have, lots of guides around me that work with me. But I know that everybody has guides, because, the spirit world are extremely interested in you achieving your goals, and achieving what is needed. And so I think that is, really sort of, a sort of like a whistle stops tour of how the spirit world are working with us. And the other thing that because I'm just still waiting for a call to come in, but the other thing that I, was going to say is that, um, when and this is something that I think is a good answer to a question. When does the spirit enter, the body? Is it at conception, or is it at birth? And I've been told it can be any time in that period. It needn't necessarily be, um, at sort of conception. It can be any time throughout that period. So I think that's quite interesting. And I always look at, a baby's. I look at babies now, and I think, aren't they brave? They've got things that they've come to do. Because isn't that life? We all have situations and circumstances that are perhaps a little bit difficult. Um, so, these babies, they're obviously they're fully grown spirits, but they've come to experience life, and experience some of the difficulties that life throws at us, but also some of the positive things that life throws at us. And what I think is so lovely about our lives, is that it's we've got to remember this. It's an opportunity that gives us, something that completes our soul, that gives us opportunities to evolve, and be the person that we want to become, so that when we go back to spirit, we're going to be going back in a way that is completely different from the person that we arrived. So I hope you like that little talk. And I want to go to a caller now. And I believe we have Brianna in Wellston, Ohio. Are you there, Brianna?
Yes,
Hello and welcome. So I I'm a medium, and I can connect to loved ones, or I can, um, give you guidance from my guides. Is there a particular way that you would like me to work?
I'm not sure. Uh, I yeah, you can't really like connect with certain people or anything, could you?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Um, could
I'm
you
not.
repeat that,
I'm not
please?
sure. I'm not
You're
sure
not sure.
honestly how this works, but do you like connect to a certain person that I suggest,
Yes,
or I am not sure.
I can connect to somebody that that has died and gone to the spirit
My
world.
my
Um,
boyfriend that just recently passed.
your boyfriend, okay. So I'm struggling with hearing you, but, so I'm just going to go straight in to connect with your boyfriend. And that's all I heard, your boyfriend. So I don't know anything else. Um, okay. Right. The first thing that I'm getting from I've got a man that's standing by the side of me, and he he's talking about how he feels that how can what sometimes the spirit will do is they give me what's known as like a download, and it's like a whole load of situation in one, and then I have to sort of try and interpret it. But what I'm getting from him is that he is feeling a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit sort of awkward as we start this call, and I feel that the reason why he's feeling a little bit uncomfortable about this call is because he's telling me that it's almost like he wants to say, if only I did this, or if only I'd been this person or that person, or if only, then this wouldn't have happened. Would that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Because he's saying to me that he feels that he's partially to blame, and I want to stress the word partially. I feel like it's not totally his fault, but I feel like he's blaming it partially on himself, and he says that um, he's looking to you, and he's saying that you were the one that had the sort of common sense or the brains in the two of you, and he's saying to me that you would, quite often sort of say, look, you need to do this, or you need to do that, or don't do this, don't do that, or you would try and sort of, um, almost like you were trying to be protective or trying to help him in his life. But he was, I feel like he's got cloth ears. He wouldn't listen. I feel like he was his own man. He wanted to do his own thing. And I feel like as a result, he sort of suffered the consequences of his actions. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Um, and he feels that he's saying to me that he's saying to me that he owes you a lot, because even though he passed, he's saying to me that you were strong for him. In other words, you gave to him something that was missing in his life. It's like you picked him up emotionally and was beginning to help make him strong. And you were sort of like a healer in the relationship. You were, in other words, you were getting to him in a positive way. You were bringing him to a point that he was recovering from a lot of the difficulties and emotional, I want to say, trauma of the past. And I feel like um, it's almost like you instinctively were like a little bit of a counselor and a support and do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And he's saying to me that although I've passed, and he says he's got huge regrets, because he feels that he would have liked to. He's saying to me that he would have liked to have gone on to have a more serious relationship with you and gone on to for marriage and everything, because he feels that he actually met his soulmate, and he's expressing his love for you enormously. Like he's telling me how much he loves you, and I just know with him that you I I feel with him that he right. I feel that the main thing is that there's a lot of love for you, like really serious love. I think the other thing is regret and of his actions, and the other thing is that is gratitude to you, because although he's over there, you were strong enough with him that you brought healing to him, and he's gone over to the spirit world having had that element of healing, and it has enabled him to move on in a more positive way in spirit. Does that make all sense to you?
Yes.
Now, with these readings, they're so quick, and I am sorry that I'm going to have to go to my next caller, because I'd love to connect longer for you, because I get that sense that he needs more whilst we're talking, but if you need to find me, I'm on Facebook or Instagram, and my name is Gayle Moffat. So thank you very much, Brianna, and yeah. So thank you very much, and I hope that all helps.
What was your name?
Right. My name is Gayle Moffat. It's Mogail, and Moffat is Moffat.
Okay.
And that's F for Foxtrot. Okay, so thank you very much. So now we have Eleanor in Long Island, New York. Are you there, Eleanor?
Yes, I am.
Hello and welcome. So
Hi, thank you.
I am a medium, and so I can connect to loved ones that have passed, people that you know, or I can go to my guides and look and give you guidance. Is there a particular way that you'd like me to work?
No, it doesn't matter. Either way, I would love to hear from my loved ones for sure.
Did you say a loved one?
Sure.
And is there anybody in particular? I've got about 10 minutes left of the show. Is there anybody in particular that you'd like me to connect to?
Either one of my parents.
Sorry?
Either one of my parents.
Oh, your parents, right? Okay. Right. Okay. I've instantly got your father has come, and he is standing on one side of me, on my left hand side in front of me, and your mother is on the right hand side. And
Okay.
and I actually think that's quite significant. Would you?
That they're together, standing together, absolutely.
No, they're not standing together. They're separate. They're one on one side and one on the other.
Well, yeah, because I know I would have one on one side of me and one on the other. That's how they would stand with me.
Oh, right.
They would both be there, on one on each side.
Right. Okay. So I feel that your father wishes to talk first, and he is saying to me that he says that he's telling me that the sort of family that we were a traditional family, and he's talking about how you used to do sort of traditional things in life, and he makes me feel like you were the sort of family that would sort of cook like a Sunday roast on Sunday, and I just feel very traditional in your upbringing as a child in your family. Would that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
And he's saying that this is the way that he liked it, because he feels that these traditional values were important for family life. And he makes me feel like it was so important that you all sat round the table, and I feel like manners was also quite important for him. I feel like he would be quite insistent on manners. But one of the things that I really like, and this is something that, we all think about how wonderful this would be, but I can just see sort of like this table and you're all sitting there, and I can just feel like, you know, the conversation and the chats and being interested in each other's lives and things like that. I can feel that all going on. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely, with him at the head of the table.
Yep, yep. And I also can see that he liked his knives from a cooking purpose, obviously. And I feel like I want to sharpen my knife before I carve any meat. Do you remember him doing that?
He used to do it for my mother all the time. That was his job in the kitchen.
Yeah, he's just showing that to me. So and he's saying to me that he he makes me feel like he was quite sort of principled over his money, and I feel like he would, when with his money, he would allocate certain money for this, allocate it for that, and allocate some for saving, and allocate. And I feel like and he would go to your mother and say, and here's your money. Would that make sense to you?
Yes, yes, yeah.
And he was quite a proud man, because he wanted to. I feel like he feels like he needs to be the breadwinner, the person that brings the money home. Because again, he's traditional. He's a traditional man.
Yes.
He's talking about. He's showing me. I feel that you were. I want to go to your school when you were growing up, and this is a memory of his. And I feel that you were on the stage, and I feel like he finds this funny. There's something funny that you did on the stage at like a school play. I don't know, it may be something that you did when you're older, but it's something. I feel like you made a mistake or an accident or something, or whether you're quite sweet or cute. Does that make sense to you?
I I can't think of anything. I mean, it might have been something that I don't even remember.
Sure, yeah.
I can't. I don't know if I don't know if that would have been me though.
Well, he's making me feel as though you kept on you. I feel like you're a really little girl, and you kept on making little mistakes, and he found this highly amusing, and he's laughing about this memory. But let me move on from that, because you don't recognise that. But it's what I'm hearing from him. So it may be that you can check with somebody about that.
Right. Right.
And he's saying to me that okay, he's saying to me that he's rather proud of you, because he says that you have instilled some of the values that he had and taught to family in your family life, and he sort of watches you, and I feel like sometimes you will say things just the way your father would have said them, or do things just the way that he did them, and it amuses him about because he's saying to me that you're quite like him. Your ways, you've got a lot of ways like him, and he says that you are okay. He's done this back to front. As he was the rock in the family, like that sat at the head of the table. He makes me feel like that position has transferred to you in your family. Would that make sense to you?
Yep. Yeah, everybody comes to me.
Yeah, and he says that and he says this is why he's so incredibly proud of you, because you hold everything together as well, and you and I feel also he's telling me that there's been something that's been a little bit of an upset, or something that you've been upset about just recently, and I feel it's almost like you're worried for somebody else's well-being. Would that make sense to you?
Yes.
Because he's noticing, he's not noticing, he's aware of this, and and he's saying, it's like he's showing me you sat at a table, and he's come round you, and he's put his arm around you, and he's wanting to sort of like reassure you that he's always going to be there for you, and he wants you to almost like he's saying to me, he's saying to you rather, he wants you to have confidence in the, almost like it will work out okay. But he knows, he's not giving me the details of what's happened, but he just wants to reassure you that he's there, and that it will work out okay, and that I'm aware of your mum. She's just walked round to the side, and is standing just slightly behind him. So I just want you to know that she's been there the whole time, but he wanted to do the talking, maybe because he's the head of the family and that's his job. But he's just wanting to reiterate that how much he loves you, and how there's just an enormous love, but also respect